First thing is everybody here teaches at least 6302. You can put a thumbs up uh,
Hit the
or
yes button.
or six, some cybersecurity course. And that they're all coming up for review in October. Um, so that's one of the things. They're coming up. Some of them definitely need to be changed. So I kind of put together a survey for that to kind of get some feedback. So when we do meet for the review, that we have, some feedback from everybody that's teaching it around the state. There's also, if you're interested in being on the review committee, to look at the curriculum and maybe be part of that change, you can still apply. And I can actually I can look up the superintendent's memo and put that information out there. I think that's Heather, that's the 8600 series, 8628 maybe, or 29. That's next year, those review. So I have a survey here. So if you have, just, take time, complete it. Judy Sands wants to get a lot of, feedback on that. So we can do that review, and, and if you do want to be part of it, I'll find the link to that superintendent memo. Do you want to go next, Jen?
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to post this again. I just put it in the chat if you guys can take a look. It is just a cute little survey, and I'm going to share my screen for a minute and show you what I'm talking about. So here it is. Let me just share this. Okay, can you guys see this? So what I'm in right now is I'm in the Virginia Cyber Range, and this is under resources. So if you click the resources tab, you'll get here. And this is other cybersecurity courseware. I wanted to show you that we have this already here. The nicer curriculum one, obviously, that's now cyber.org. This is going to be updated. And so here's some helpful links. And I was just talking to Angie saying, hey, maybe we can use this kind of as a place where we can share lessons, because I don't want to put them in a public place where you don't have to log in. You know what I mean? And I'd rather whoever has access to courseware and Virginia Cyber Range, that would be a cool place to go for lessons. So we'll talk to Angie a little bit more, and Dr. Raymond about resources, and see if we can use that. But this is the community page up here, and sharing best practices. And what we have is, this is what I wanted to talk about, is the K12 advisory board. So if you click this, this is a little dated, we have to update it, but it tells you all the regions that we have. And so if you go down, these are the people who have been on the advisory board, some in the past, some are still there. And so Southwest and Western and the Valley region, Northern Virginia, Northern Neck, Tidewater, and Central. So these are the people who have been on the advisory board, but what we are looking to do is kind of broaden this. So once a month, the VCR Executive Committee meets, and as your chairperson for the K12 Advisory Committee, I represent you on that committee, and that's great. That committee is made up of me as the high school person, and then tons of professors from different universities around Virginia. So either community colleges or university colleges. So what I think would be really great is to have one of those meetings kind of opened up more for the K12, and or have the advisory board, when we meet, have anybody who wants to attend. That's going to get you guys more in tune with what's going on. And I think it would help. So I wanted to get your feedback about that. You guys can take yourself off mute. Now's your time to talk. Anybody interested in doing that?
I guess if they're interested, they can just fill out the survey.
I couldn't unmute. This is Jay Mathis, Southwest Virginia. I'd be very interested in doing it, actually.
Awesome. So Jay, put that in that survey that I just sent out.
Yep.
And so like Natalie's on that committee, Christy's on the committee. I'm looking to see who else, but we really want to open up. Mike is on the committee, but Mike is moving to Loudoun County. So we have a hole in that area. So we need to get his area now covered again. So like I said, anybody who can, and it's not a huge commitment. It's really a commitment of attending one meeting a quarter, and sharing ideas and thoughts of how we can make the Virginia Cyber Range better and how we can help each other with sharing materials. And that's it in a nutshell.
It's an open meeting then? That's what you want it to be, is an open, anybody that can attend that's involved in cyber to be able to join in?
Exactly, Brittany, exactly. So, so Brittany, if you had a great lesson on threats and vulnerabilities, you come to the meeting and say, hey, you know what, you guys, I found this threats and vulnerability stuff, and it may tie to cyber.org, it may tie to Virginia Cyber Range, but how is that going to help us as cybersecurity educators? Right. And then you become the rock star, Brittany. So become that rock star.
We have a cyber advisory council.
Oh, Brittany, I think we just lost you. She just said she had a cyber advisory council. I'm not sure what happened. But Gina, did you want to say something?
Oh, I didn't even notice I unmuted. I'm sorry. I'll join. You all always help. I'm sorry. Jeez.
All right. So Brittany, you're back.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, we have an advisory council in Frederick County, and I'm trying to get on to the cyber range there to see, like, with the Valley region, who our people are representing the Valley there. But we're kind of building this program in the county, and I was trying to get into the chat to mention to you about, you were asking, like, where cybersecurity is housed and whatnot. But I'm in the tech ed department, and so, like, we're responsible for cybersecurity and manufacturing, but we can't teach the cyber fundamentals courses. Really a challenge for us to find material, but also because we're brand new to this, also we don't have the level 1 to build a level 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep, that's what we went through, right? So we've gone through that same thing, Brittany. So that's why I'm saying this is an area where we can help each other. So I don't know, Brittany, if you were in our session before this, maybe, Christy, we can post that link too, and we can show you the pacing guides that we came up with. So Christy, I put in that Google Doc, the pacing guide that we're working on for our school, for our county.
You mean the bit.ly link?
Yeah.
Or in the Google folder?
Right.
Yeah.
To take you to the Google folder. Yep.
Okay.
So that could be something else you can do. And you know what? So let's see. I think, is John on? John York? Okay. So he had sent me some lessons that I can share out as well.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So Christy, we can put his stuff out there as well.
Okay.
And we have some of Ellen Fry's great lessons that she did. And when you see where it says sandbox, she's talking about Code High School and doing Tracy the Turtle Python coding. So, okay. Tweaks, what did you put out there?
I was actually getting ready to talk about what he's going to talk about. There's a Google group that the Cyber Range has, and he just put it in the chat, the link. Now you have to request to join. Okay, you just click it and they'll approve you. But I have mine open.
You want to share? Yeah, you
Yeah.
share, Christy, so everybody can see.
Recommend using your institution email because we try to keep students out.
Yeah.
So you don't, just like you don't want students coming in the teacher's lounge. You
Right.
probably don't want students in this place either.
Thank you. So, all right. So this is basically the forum, and there's been some good conversations going in it so far. So just request to join. There's a lot in here so far.
You can do that by entering a support request.
Yep.
We don't link to it from the front page yet.
And, hey, Tweaks, how soon do you get those in?
What do you mean?
I mean, so if somebody sends in a request, does it take a couple days or?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. If you use your institutional email, it's usually within a day.
Okay.
If you use a personal email, there's a lot more vetting that has to happen. Right now, it's a manual process. We want to eventually, I have it on a backlog item to eventually have it. So if you already have an auth token from the Cyber Range, you've already authenticated as, for example, a Google user on the Cyber Range, it'll automatically pass you through. But we don't have that yet. So right now, it's a manual process. So it's a day or two.
Okay.
Unless you use a personal email, then we need to make sure it's not a student trying to social engineering their way in.
Perfect. Yep. That sounds good. All right. Katrina Owens, are you still on? I don't know if she's still on or not.
I don't see her.
Yeah.
Dropped
Okay.
out. She had to go.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can send those. Again, if you look for what Christy's posting on the bit.ly on how to get to the information, you'll be able to see what we're talking about too.
You want to the Google folder, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll put that in there. So what do you think would be more or other ways that we can help each other? So that's the other thing that we wanted to talk about is, like I said, we're going to give you some of the lessons that we came up with. What else can we do as a collective group, as K12 educators?
Hi, this is Kim Bates. I teach in the trade and industrial courses for cybersecurity systems technology and the network systems, cybersecurity network systems. There's a huge discrepancy between the cybersecurity fundamentals and my courses, and we really need to work on leveling those out. I know mine are up for review here in the next year, but there is a huge discrepancy between the two. And as the lady indicated earlier, there is no flow between any of the cyber classes, whether it's the ones in the business, the ones in marketing, the ones in the health information sciences. There's no flow, and there's no, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I guess flow is the biggest thing I'm going to be able to say, is that cybersecurity fundamentals course should give everybody the background for the cybersecurity marketing, for the cybersecurity health information system, that some content needs to be put in there to easily flow into those other areas.
I think that's a good point to make, Kim, and I don't know much about those other classes, cybersecurity for tech ed or marketing or facts. I haven't taken a look at any of those, but that's something really good, Christy, to bring up to Judy, to say, hey, what is kind of the flow on that one? I can tell you, we were just talking about the flow of cybersecurity fundamentals and going to CSO and then advanced. And how can we do that and make it so that kids want to continue, right? So the one issue I think that we have for our county is that our industry certification for cybersecurity fundamentals is workplace readiness. What?
Yeah.
We're
That's
workplace readiness. And
and that's that's something else for those of us on the trade and industrial side. Some of them came from the work environment and got teaching licenses, and we struggle to get the right licensure added to our teaching license so that we can even teach these courses, even though we have 27,000 industry certifications.
exactly.
And their whole licensing aspect as far as these courses go, just it all needs to be revisited.
Mhm.
And I think really when we look at cyber overall, whether it's business marketing, facts, tech ed, or trade and industrial, we need to have a huge roadmap first and then divide up. This is the fundamentals section. This will get you to these others. And then this goes into the systems and the software operations and the network operations, because it's just all over the place right now.
Yeah.
Tim, if I may add to what you're saying, teaching the trade and industrial side of it for the Cyber 8628 and 8629. I know I just recently moved to a different school district, and as I embarked on teaching the 8628, these students had no background in cybersecurity. They may have had the IT fundamentals background. So instead of pushing forward with the task competency and student competency records listed on VDOE, I had to backtrack to give them the cyber background and tie it all together. So
Right.
there needs to be some cohesiveness in the program. And another thing I've been shouting from the rooftop for the past year is resources for these trade and industrial side courses of cyber. We have to have resources that map to the task competency. We have wonderful resources for the introduction to cybersecurity, wonderful resources to the second level of that, I think it's 6304. But as far as the higher level for the trade and industrial side, we are severely lacking. And I started with the cybersecurity with Stafford County over 4 years ago. And we were literally pounding through the internet looking for resources. And we're almost right back to that with these two courses.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, I agree with you, Natalie. And it's resources that that we have. I think we do have a lot of great resources for cybersecurity fundamentals and CSO, because there's so many free ones out there. Especially we're so blessed to have the VCR. And like I said, I don't know anything about the trade ones. That needs to be reviewed. And also I wrote that down. The other thing I think that needs to really be reviewed is the competencies, and are we getting these kids prepared? So I'm seeing in the chat, so Cindy, you were saying that you guys are offering MTA Security for intro to cyber. Are you finding that your kids can pass that from the competencies listed, or do you think that it's difficult? I mean, do you have to really beef up your curriculum to get them to pass that?
It's Cindy here. I really focused on going through the MOAC course materials that were up on the what is it?
Microsoft Imagine.
Yeah,
Okay.
and went through a lot of that stuff. So I spent like a 2-month period. We actually were about to take the test this year on March 3rd, the day we were closed, and my students we've been working on it from January to March, so they're really upset that we didn't get to take it that day. But yeah, it's very Microsoft focused, so sometimes loses the competencies don't match completely to it. I mean, and the kids really like the Linux aspect of it more so than the Microsoft, but I'm not sure how these certifications that kind of match up better with what we're doing. So, and it's just a fundamentals test.
Yeah, and a lot of counties are going. A lot of counties are using that one because we use the MTA Security Fundamentals for our year one. It's because it's free, provided by the state. So,
And I would love that for our county, guys. I think it makes a lot more sense. But I just want to make sure that the competencies as they stand now actually support these industry certifications. And if they don't, what do we need to do to change it? Because that's what we're going to be doing, in October. So whoever's on that committee, this is a great time to talk about it.
Well, one thing, if I can put in a word or so, I think the DOE has a big problem when they're dealing with IT and with cyber in particular, because it's a moving target. I mean, I teach Cisco networking, and I was on the committee that reviewed the curriculum, and it happened to be right as it had changed. It took them a year and a half to get from that committee to having the new ones posted, and then half a year later, Cisco's redone it and gotten rid of one of the books and one of the target tests. You can't teach what industry actually wants to know if you're going to slavishly check the boxes for VDOE. Now, Dr. Eshelman was actually Chesterfield's head of CTE, when we started that, and now he's the state head. So I'm hoping he hasn't changed his tune, because I told him flat up, if I've got a choice between teaching what the state tells me I have to teach and teaching what's going to align with industry credentials that will actually get kids through the tests, I'm going to stick with the second one, and I'll be glad to defend myself to a school board or anybody else that wants to tell me I'm crazy. But I hope he still has that opinion, because he was cool with me saying that at the time. So, but what we found helps us most. In Richmond, they have a new chapter of ISC Squared, which is a professional organization. I think the only chapters in Virginia are in Northern Virginia and in Richmond, but a lot of security professionals who are thinking very much in terms of trying to grow the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. And that partnership has worked very well for us in terms of getting our kids in front of professional groups and hearing what they're talking about, and also in terms of giving us access to resources in terms of career trips and speakers and stuff like that.
So Peyton, is there any way you can share, do they have a web page, or if we wanted to do this, how could we get to this ISC Squared group?
All right.
Because that's a great thing. That was one of the things that I think has been such a huge help for our program in Loudon, is our guest speakers. And even during when we had Q4 online, Chris Stark, who's on here now, did a great job getting the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office to do a digital forensics talk with all the kids from the county. So whoever wanted to come in, logged in and listened to what they had to say. And it was a great presentation by the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, anybody who's within range of Richmond, I know our chapter has members and actually scatters meetings all over the greater Richmond area, from Hanover down to pretty close to Petersburg. So if anybody's in that range, they actually have Zoom meetings, and they've set up a special associate membership at $25 a pop for a year. And you can attend all their meetings by Zoom. So I will, as a matter of fact, I just got an email from them today about July's meeting. So I'll, don't think Ivan will mind too much if I go ahead and share that link. Give me a few minutes and I'll go ahead and type it into the chat. So if anybody's interested, we can see if we can get some more people listening in on that.
Yeah. Okay. And so the other certifications we were talking about, I just see Katrina and Diana were putting it in. CompTIA IT Fundamentals. We do that one for the CSO class, but I think even though we have that, there's a lot in that exam that is not covered in those competencies. For instance, the database stuff, and really getting into the OSI model. So, so I assume, Katrina, you're talking about for CSO, that's where you have that certification? I don't know. Katrina Owens, still on.
Oh.
And then Diana, you were saying Security Plus. Which one do you use Security Plus for? Is Diana still on? Okay, so the one thing about the CompTIA exams is you can find tons of free stuff to practice for the exam and study for the exam on Quizlet and different programs like that. But I found CertMaster was awesome to prepare for the IT fundamentals exam, and currently I'm studying for the Security Plus exam and using CertMaster as well as the book. But those are expensive. So has anybody found anything else that's helping prepare their kids for the CompTIA exams?
Professor Messer's a good one.
Is that free?
Most of his stuff, Professor Messer. You can find out most of his videos are out on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the Udemy stuff, that's free too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm writing those down.
Cyber.org has a complete curriculum for the A+ stuff, and I don't know what they've got on cybersecurity. There's one book that our kids have found really helpful. I've got a copy of it sitting over there. I'll get you the title and author here in a second. I'll put that in the chat.
Oh, great. And okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that, Peyton. So I don't know if you guys heard me say this at the last session or not, but cyber.org has changed their cybersecurity section for, or added for Security Plus, and it's fantastic. But it is not for the intro level. It's really, some of the information you can definitely use for Intro to Cyber, but most of it is for the advanced class like Christy's teaching. And
yeah, some of those labs are very advanced.
Plus exam. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Christy.
No, I'm just saying the labs are very advanced. I know, you know, some of them look like they talk about phishing, but it goes into, you know, harvesting credentials activity, which is, you don't, you know, I think a little more advanced than your intro students. Or, you know, learning how to create a backdoor to a website. So that's not something you're going to be doing in your intro courses.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't the CERT also suggest prereqs of networking and networking and even Linux?
Yes,
exposure?
yes, and they have their grade level listed for that course is 11th and 12th grade.
Yeah, that's where we see it in our school.
Yeah.
Okay, so and Ashley said you use Testout for the MTA material. What is Testout? Is it free, Ashley?
No, it's not. It's a paid service. I think it's $94 a student, but it actually works them through like a virtual lab. They get like all this equipment. They can learn to hook up like different routers, switches, all that sort of stuff on there. I highly recommend looking at it. They're awesome. My kids loved it. There's also videos on there, and there's little quizzes they can take to test them, and they can go through them on their own, or you can teach from it too. So you can do it either way. So it could be like 100% virtual for the kids if you want it to be.
Yeah, that's cool. So Ashley, is that for intro?
They have it for Security Plus. There's a networking one. There's an IT fundamentals. They have a ton of stuff out there.
Oh, okay, okay. But you use the Testout for the MTA for your Intro to Cyber students?
No, my software ops.
Oh, okay. So you do it for CSO. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
They have a great networking fundamentals out there.
Fantastic.
Are you referring to the Network Pro
Yes.
course? Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's not the MTA.
It's not, but I use it as supplemental material.
Yeah, it's the Network Pro that's in Testout is very similar to the CompTIA Network Plus, and then their Security Pro is very similar to their Security Plus, and then their IT Fundamentals Pro. I took the course and I passed that certification, and there is very similar to the CompTIA IT Fundamentals. So when they were giving out there, we got a free grant. Katrina and I did last December with Testout when we were in California.
Okay. And okay, so Natalie, you were talking about, I'm sorry, I'm trying to go through the chat here. You guys took the MTA Security Fundamental Certification. Which level was that, Natalie?
That was for the entry level intro to cyber.
Okay.
I actually administered that to my 6302 kids and my 6304 kids. I made it open to anyone who was willing to take it because the state actually covered the fee for that. It was my understanding. And so what I said to my underclassmen students, get the exposure of what it's like to take, a certification test so that you now will have that experience under your belt. We had a 33% pass rate, so that was pretty good for the first time. That was the first year that we had taken the test, and I was the one that piloted for Stafford County at the time.
Oh, great. Thank you. Hey, Bud, you were talking about Mike Myers Passport Series. Are you talking about that for the Security Plus exam? Bud Ritchie, are you on? Okay. The Mike Myers book is the one I'm using right now to study for the Security Plus exam.
I know my students did not like the Mike Myers video series. I tried my first year going in because I had like no curriculum before we got Cisco stuff. And man, my students were just like, yeah, no, we something else. The video stuff, my students' perspective, they did not like it at all.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, Maureen, you're saying that you're using Professor Messer for the Security Plus?
Yeah, we've looked at his videos. We've created a little Security Plus study group here at the Cyber Range, like Vicki, Ellen, myself, and some others that are not super technical. And we've had people like Tweaks and Dave help us in some of the sections.
That's awesome. Yeah. How can we get in that, girl?
We're going to meet every Wednesday. I don't know. Vicki's the spearhead of that. I'm definitely not ready to take the test, but we've got a lot of good material.
So when where are you getting the material? You're just getting it from the Professor Messer, or are you guys using something else?
A variety of things. So Peyton Chichester, you just posted the Get Certified, Get Ahead Security Plus study guide. Yeah, we've definitely been using that. We all have a copy. We're actually using 401 just because it was cheaper, and so we had to map back on some of the new stuff. That's been a very helpful book, I would say. Lots of practice tests.
Yeah.
I was going to put this in the chat, but since now that we have like the new cloud CTF functionality with the range, we were talking in the office a while ago, like how do you prepare for certs? And a lot of it is memorization. And what about using the CTF infrastructure for your classes to put in test questions and things like that? Would that help motivate your students?
Oh my gosh, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really good.
Yay.
And that would help you study.
One thing I found when you're trying to teach actual skills, particularly with a lot of the tests I've seen, the show commands are almost more important than the configuration commands. And what I've found works really well is just give the kids a problem and then say, okay, turn in screenshots of the show commands that prove A, B, or C. And they've got to then figure out how to configure it and then how to use the show commands. And it gives you an excellent, I think, high-level learning and hands-on experience. And it creates a much deeper understanding of the relationship between everything with the kids.
That's a good point. Yeah, the more hands-on we can do, I mean, the more it's going to stick, right? Yeah. Okay, Martin, how are we doing on time?
2:07.
Okay.
Jen, Thomas Weeks asked a question as to who is teaching CIDR and submasking. I do it with CSO.
Okay.
Tweaks, did you hear that?
Yeah, we had a sub discussion going on over here about it. I was just wondering what percentage of high school teachers get into what subnet masking is at the binary level. So doing the binary, showing the 255 notation, converting that to CIDR. So the kids really grok it, they really internalize it, as opposed to rote memorization or using web lookups, which you can't do on the test.
Right. Tweaks, this is Kim. Those are actually competencies in the 8628 and 8629.
Nice.
Yes, it's 80% networking and 20% cybersecurity.
I will say from taking the CCNA that unfortunately during testing for certification, you don't have time to do the binary math. They work it that way. So understanding it first, memorization for exams was the way I would do it.
Oh yeah, I remember that test.
What I've found, and I've got a batch of lessons that have been working. The key with the whole binary and subnetting, you can teach it and they can learn it in the time you might take for any other module. But the problem is, like he was saying, in the certification test, they've got to be able to get this stuff quickly without having to break it back down to binary. So what I've been finding has been successful for me. I'll teach it to them in the first couple of months, and then I just give them daily subnetting exercises every day so that they're continuing to do it. Now, some of them will still, very foolishly, in my humble opinion, go out and find web calculators and that sort of stuff. And ultimately, at least teaching Cisco, I've gotten very used to the fact that if somebody wants to cheat, there are ways they can do it. But for the people that actually want to get certified, and I keep pointing this out, you're not allowed to have calculators. They take that testing seriously. When I last went in and took mine, they, had your wallet and anything, your pockets had to be empty, your hands had to be empty, your ID badge had to be off, and then you walk in and you take the test under a camera.
And you get a sheet of blank paper and a pencil.
Y'all got better than we did. No, we got
they require you to turn in the paper when you're done too.
Yeah, but that's the way they do it. And so I point out to the kids that they've got to learn how to do these things quick. And with this, I don't know if anybody else targets the Cisco tests. I do, which is sort of an effort in self-flagellation, I think. But what I try to do is tell the kids they've got to be able to figure out the answers to these things in about 45 seconds a question. And you don't have time to break anything down to binary when you're doing that. So you do have to know the shortcuts. I have some modules that are in Canvas, and if anybody wants them, let me know and I'll be glad to make them available to you.
All right, hey, Payne, if you, I'm going to send my email in the chat. If you can send them to me, I'll put them with the other stuff that, the other lessons that people are sending in, if that's okay with you.
Fine with me.
All right, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Yeah, this is the type of repository we're talking about, right? So if we can get that stuff, that's great.
Do you guys all know about the unpublished repository on the Cyber Range?
Well, that's what we were talking about.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Vicky, and we can hook you up with our courseware folks. can tell you more
That's,
about
yeah,
that.
and we were talking to Angie about it too, Tweaks.
Yeah, that's another good question. In fact, this topic is probably a really good question for the teacher forum.
Yeah.
Looks like we're out of time.
I know. That's what I was just saying.